Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is AK from Safari Star, and I'm working as an account manager in Safari Star Management Consultancy's Dubai branch. And today, for today's session, we'll be discussing about building a UAE business in 2026 and what are the key set of mistakes and how can an investor fix it way before he starts the business. So, discussing about this session. So this afternoon, we'll be covering 5 agendas. One is understanding the UAE setup landscape for the year of 2026 and also choosing the right jurisdiction. As we all know, there are 3 jurisdictions in UAE. And the third one will be the common business activities and the ownership mistakes an investor can make, and also understanding the tax obligations for a business, and also identifying the right consultant, how to find the right consultant for you as a client. So the first topic that we'll be discussing is regarding the rules that has been changed and what it means for investors. So there are 4 topics. So the first one will be increased regulatory oversight across all UAE jurisdictions. So as we all know, effective from the year of 2024 onwards, UAE has been making a lot of rule changes when it comes to opening business, taxes, and all. So the initial registration for every process, let's say it's company formation or registration of tax, corporate tax, and all, it has been easy. So the whole concept of UAE is to give you faster registration so that you can start your business operations right away. But you as an investor should be having a readiness operation structure so that you can move forward with your business and you can focus less on paperwork. And the second one will be stronger AML and KYC and also the UBO disclosure requirements. So nowadays, registering a company is not the end point, so it's basically the starting point. So right after company registration, all free zones, what it does is they goes through all security checks. So let's say you are coming as an individual shareholder to the company, so they will collect your passport and they will check everything. So all the regulatory bodies where you are identified as the UBO, and also if there is any strikes on you as a person. So let's say example, for an example, like let's say you're a person who's having a criminal record history, and this can affect the licensing process. And let's say even if it affects the licensing process, you can still reapply and see. And after the licensing process again, if you know, like you have anything related to any cases with the banks or any regulatory authorities, then you must notify the consultant or the regulatory authority which you're trying to apply the company for. And the third thing is wider use of digital portal for licensing, visas, and approvals. So the whole concept of UAE right now is to go paperless. So the registration of license, let's say you're registering for bank account, everything is done online. So this is to eliminate the to make it hassle free for the initial registration, and it's for you to focus on structuring the company, the taxation rules, and banking as well. Because let's say you are not alone as an investor and there are multiple investors, so who will be having the banking authorities and who will be having the managerial position or directors of the company, it has to be planned in advance. So, and the third one and the fourth one is greater focus on economic substance and business transparency. So effective from 2019 onwards, UAE has implemented economic substance regulatory. So there were few activities that were falling under it, and one of us was holding companies, real estate, gold trading, and all. But by implementing of the new role of federal tax authorities, corporate tax registration, the ESR has been discontinued. But the new corporate tax rule is not just for the limited number of activities or the type of shareholders, but it's applicable to all the activities in UAE. This is to ensure that all the companies are compliant to the federal tax authority. And we will be discussing the 5 agendas and the setup mistakes that an investor should watch out for. The first one is choosing the wrong jurisdiction. So as we all know, there are a lot of jurisdictions in UAE. Let's say there is mainland, there is free zone, and there is offshore companies. So you as a person, what you have to understand is what kind of business you need. Let's say I'm into media or advertising, and how big I want. So I just want to start as a single investor, and once the company grows and I want to expand, then the free zones that you have to choose is different. Now let's say you are dealing with mainland customers. So in that case, having free zone license can be an hindrance. So there are three kind of jurisdictions all over UAE. One is mainland, free zone, and offshore. So mainland means direct trading to the market, so the UAE local market. And if you have a mainland license, you can create contracts with governments, and there is no location limits. But for free zone, your company is limited to a zone, and your business activity has to be conducted within the zone. But there is also one plus point, that is, if you're focusing on service-based license, let's say media, or let's say any digital services, or you're a person who is giving tax and accounting services, for those clients, free zone license can be suitable one. But in terms of trading, let's say I'm into trading of stationery items. In that case, I will have to deal with mainland customers. So either I have two options. I have to open a mainland license, or I have to find a third-party logistics operator who can operate in mainland. So understanding these requirements are very important. And now let's say you want to enjoy the tax benefits of UAE, but you'll be doing business outside the UAE. In that case, the jurisdiction which is suitable for you is offshore. And there are four kind of offshore companies in UAE. So one is in Ajman Offshore. The second one is DIFC. Third one is ADGM, and the fourth one is RAK-ICC. And nowadays, the most commonly recognized and easy registration process is for RAK-ICC. And the costs are also comparatively much cheaper. But when it comes to bank account opening, RAK-ICC can be an issue because RAK-ICC is located in Ras Al Khaimah district. So in that case, there is only one bank which can give you approval as of now. That is RAK Bank. Or let's say you want to do business, but you didn't get bank approved. So you have to understand from your consultant or the relevant jurisdiction if I can use third-party money transferring like softwares or anything. For example, Payoneer. Payoneer is a digital smart solution to collect and receive payments. And the next one is yes. So from this first agenda, what we have understood is we have to define the target market and revenue source first. And also, let's say you want to expand your employees. Let's say you expand your company, you want to expand your office space because you're hiring more employees. In that case, which is the most suitable free zone for you? We have to understand that. And also tax requirements. So the clients will come to you and say, or let's say you are going to a consultant and saying, oh, I'm opening a company right now and I want to be in any free zone, but it has to be free of tax. So you as a person have to understand the fact that there is no free tax zone area. So what we have to understand is you have to be a qualifying company for that. So you need a bigger office space, you need a minimum limit of employees. Your company has to hit minimum of 1 million dirhams target. So these are the main factors which makes you a qualifying free zone company. So you have to understand that and avoid cost-driven jurisdiction decisions. So when I say free zones are qualifying when you meet specific requirements, not all free zones are designed for expansion. So we have to understand that, which I'll be discussing on the 5th agenda. And also validate banking compatibility early. So let's say not all free zones are recognized by all banks. It's not just an regulatory issue by the UAE. So let's say, for example, Ajman free zone. It has been there for more than 20 years now in the market. But however, you cannot open a bank account in FAB First Abu Dhabi Bank, because First Abu Dhabi Bank doesn't recognize Ajman free zone for doing business with them. So we have to understand these kind of factors as well before we open the business license. Next step is selecting the wrong business activity. Now you are reaching to a consultant or the regulatory authority and you are saying, I want to do service license. But it's your responsibility to specify what kind of service that you would require, because there is financial services, there is PRO services. So these services, you have to specify it in the from the day one itself, so that let's say you want to do media activity, but the consultant or you yourself chose the wrong activity for yourself, and now you're trying to create a contract with the company, and the company is saying, sorry, we cannot do business with you because you're not having the suitable activity on your license. Now you will have to amend the license, and there is additional cost associated with that. So you have to always understand the exact bifurcation of exact activity that you would require, and also you have to find the suitable free zone for that as well. Yeah. So the whole concept is map your actual revenue generating activities before licensing. That is point one, and confirm activity eligibility with bank and authorities. Not all activities. Let's say I'm having a gold trading license. I cannot easily go to bank and get it registered. There are a lot of document requirements and everything, and sometimes the bank won't approve. For example, a client is opening a gold trading license in SPC free zone. Now he goes to the bank, for example, ADCB bank, and he's saying, I want to get a bank account with this activity. Right away, the bank would say, no, even though you would like to work with us and open a bank account with us, we cannot do it for you because of the restrictions. So you have to understand it from the day one itself, where these activities are compatible with the banks that you're trying to open the account for, and also plan activities with future scalability. So when I'm saying, for example, let's say you're into mostly online selling, but you chose the activity of general trading, it wouldn't be a problem. But for you to easily access to the market, what you need is e-commerce activity, which all free zones provide, and for much cheaper cost as well. So you have to understand what exactly that you want for your business. So that is another point. So we are coming to the third agenda, that is misunderstanding ownership roles. So now when I say ownership roles, previously in UAE, it was fully local ownership, and let's say the company legal status will never be limited liability company. It will always be or civil type. So there's an issue with this one. So when you operate a company, all the liabilities are not limited to your company. It is expanded to you as well. And UAE recently, in past 5 or 6 years, they have implemented the legal status of limited liability company, and from that day onwards, all the free zones as well, all the mainland companies as well, they started implementing limited liability company. But there is another issue with that. Now, let's say you want to open a legal firm. In that case, you cannot directly go and open a legal company. You will need a legal person who is an Emirati, like a local person in Dubai, and the legal status will never be limited liability company as well. However, in coming 1 or 2 years, we can see changes to that as well. All you need to have is you need to be a authorized legal person, and the institution that you have been a legal person from, the proof document should be there, the verification has to be done, and lastly, it has to be MOFA tested by the UAE, as well as MOFA tested by the certificate issuing country as well. So you have to understand the ownership rules, and being a shareholder doesn't mean that you will be having direct access to the bank account. So that's when understanding the exact designations of managers and directors of the company. So mostly whoever is the manager on the license can have banking powers and also oversee the company structure as well. So being just a shareholder won't give you full access for the company. You also have to understand the value of other designations as well. So the tip what we have discussed in this agenda is design ownership structure for growth and flexibility. So you chose a structure, and now it's an hindrance for you to do business. Or let's say you are the complete shareholder, but you appointed one of your friend as your manager now. But now all the banking powers are with him. Even though you're the shareholder, now you have to move legally in terms of, let's say, you're facing any issues right now. So you have to understand and structure the ownerships in such a way that it's easier for you. And also, let's say you have another partner as well. So all the league, let's say, so there is one more thing that I would like to add to this one. So all the memorandum of association or articles of association are in a very standard way. So you cannot make certain amendments to it. But what you can do is, let's say you're a free zone company, you can write a board resolution, and you can get it attested by the licensing authorities. And the second thing, what you can do is, there is notary public in Dubai, which you can create rules and regulations in your own custom way. So it's very easy for you as a person. So there is complete flexibility between the partners as well. So that's the second point which I've discussed right now. And third one is review UBO disclosures carefully. Now, let's say you added a company as a shareholder, wherein it's a local company in Dubai, or it's a company from outside UAE. So the complication of having corporate shareholders from outside UAE is that not all licensing authorities will be having a clear share structure. So what they have to do is, they have to go, for example, let's say in terms of Egypt and India, they have to provide certificate of incumbency, which is authorized by the financial body in those respective country. In terms of India, it has to be issued by the chartered accountants from India itself. So on that basis, the UBO will be filed to the respective company. And the fourth one is seek legal and tax input before finalizing ownership. So you have to understand the legal methodologies, like which I have discussed previously as well, and also the tax input before finalizing the ownership of the company. The fourth agenda is poor document preparation. So incomplete documents, inconsistent shareholder information, and lack of proof of address. So these 4 points are the initial one. And the second one will be the weak business plans. Now, let's say a consultant is choosing license for you, and they will say you can mix and match up to 5 business activities, and also you add real estate, you add e-commerce, general trading, and all. Now you're going to the bank with the trade license and saying, okay, I want a bank account with you. Now the bank is looking at your trade license and they're saying real estate, general trading, e-commerce. So the bank is, so that's when the bank will exactly ask you for additional requirement for business plan. Your targeted customers, what exactly is your business activity? And there are clients who have failed in many ways because they had the opportunity of mix and match activities, but because of this mix and match activities, they were not able to open a bank account. So let's say now the client is dealing with any government agencies or anyone, they all prefer doing bank transfer to an account that is linked with the company and not linked with the company's shareholders. So now you're facing issues. Now you'll have to close the company, open the actual company. So it's double the work. So understand this, and you need to have a proper documentation from day one of the licensing issuance. Okay, so the pro tip for this agenda is prepare a complete document checklist. So you have to create a checklist for yourself, or let's say you're working with a consultant. So tell him to create a checklist for you. So you'll be having passport. If you're resident in UAE, you have Emirates ID, visa page, and everything. And when it comes to opening a bank account, you are having the right business activities, you have the right business plan. So you will mention your targeted customers, and always think, let's say you have let's say you want to do business in China in future. but not at the moment. So you have to clearly structurize these things with the bank, because even though China is globally open for free trade, sometimes for bank account approval it can be a problem when you open the bank account. So you have to clearly define the operational business in writing. And lastly, before submission of all the documents to the regulatory authority, you have to review it, go through every single points, and make sure that this is exactly that you want for your business. Yeah. And the next agenda will be underestimating banking requirements. So opening a corporate bank account in UAE is fully achievable, but it requires transparency. So that's the exact replica of which I've discussed earlier. So your trade license has to be structured in such a way you are not contradicting with each and every single business activity that you're performing. And also you need a clean compliance history. Now, let's say you are a person who is having a very bad history with the banks, and now you opened a company and you're going to the bank. So they're not just checking for the bank, they're not just checking for the company, they're also checking for the company's the authorized persons as well. So you have to be very well aware of these requirements as well. So your complaint history has to be well clean. So the pro tip for this agenda is build a bank ready compliance profile early, which I have discussed earlier. So this will ensure that you will be having a hassle-free bank account opening process as well. So anticipate enhanced due diligence. So let's say you submitted the documents correctly, and you submitted business plan and additional documents or whatever which was requested by the bank, and they told it will take another 2 to 3 working days. But in some cases, what client can experience is it can exceed 2 to 3 working days because of the security checks. So we have to expect that in advance. And also, sometimes you might face rejection in some banks, and they might not clearly explain the reasons behind that. That doesn't mean, oh, I won't get bank account anywhere else. It's not like that. You have to try applying for other bank accounts, but always check with the proper banker. For example, I'm not telling you to check directly with the banking authority here. What you have to do is go through a third party or check with the consultant itself, which is the most suitable business bank account for my company. So you have to understand all of these points as well. And the next agenda, but also an important point which is ignored by most investors in UAE, ignoring tax obligations. So when I say tax, there are two kinds of taxes in UAE. One is corporate tax and one is value-added tax. So when it comes to corporate tax, every company is from the date of license issuance within 90 days. It's not even like 3 months. So you have to clearly explain to the client, it's clearly 90 calendar days you have to register for corporate tax. So this is to ensure that you are actually avoiding a fine from the Federal Tax Authority of 10,000 dirhams. And also, you have to understand when to register for corporate value-added tax. So let's say you want to register for value-added tax because you are doing a business overseas, and the customs that you're transacting with, they're requesting for the specific document. Now, your company has hit the revenue of 187,000. That means you can register for corporate value-added tax. And let's say you are not having such requirements, but you came to know your company is hitting 375,000 dirhams as the revenue. So it's mandatory registration. So you have to understand these tax obligation in advance, way before you open license as well. So the pro tips for this one is register for corporate tax early, and also you have to understand when to register for the value-added tax, and implementing accounting system from day one. So you have to understand, okay, maybe how do you record your sales and everything. So you need a proper system, or you need correct filing methods. So you have to know how to do these things way before you start your business. And conduct periodic compliance reviews. So even compliance reviews can be done within your company. So you keep a record of everything within your company. You go through all the files and everything. So this is to ensure that, for example, let's say corporate tax. From the date of registration and no, from the date of commencement, within 1 year, you have to file the corporate tax returns. And as for VAT, you have to do it on quarterly basis. So you have to understand timeline for each and every single thing. And also the documents that you are recording right now, you have to ensure it's correct and to the point as well. And it's always best to work with UE experienced tax advisors. So let's say you are confused, you're unsure of your consultant, and now you are like completely lost. You don't know like where to go to. What you can do is go to FTA tax authorities portal, and from there you can find a list of agents. It can be companies and it can be individuals as well. You can get the contact numbers within the FTA portal, and you can contact them directly as they are FTA approved auditors. FTA approved tax consultants. And the last agenda is choosing cheap licenses without understanding the limitations. So from in UAE, if you can see, you can get license for just 4,000 dirhams to up to 60,000 dirhams. So this is the vast market of UAE. So now let's say you're new to the market, and I chose, or let's say you go to a consultant and he's saying, okay, the cheapest license is this one. But you always have to understand the fact that what agendas we discussed previously, it doesn't contradict with those rules and requirements when it comes to choosing business activities, ownership structures, bank account opening, and all. So, and also, let's say the company, the free zone that you chose might not be recognized by other regulatory frame bodies. So you have to understand very in advance. And also, for example, one of my client, what he have done is he wanted to do gold trading in UAE, but with a cheap license. So I've suggested him SPC free zone because it's recognized by MOF as well. But he wanted to go for much cheaper, and he chose another free zone, which is like just 300, 400 dirhams cheaper than the free zone which I chose for him. But that specific free zone had issues for gold trading license. He got the license, but the issue was that the free zone itself was asking for a lot of documents for the compliance verification, and on top of that, he couldn't get his bank account approved. So you have to consult very well with your consultant, and also you can reach out to the free zones directly as well if you have any kind of doubts, because sometimes even though the consultant might say you something very legitimate, you might feel like, oh, maybe what if he's wrong. In that scenario, to gain the trust or to check the credibility, what you can do is you can directly reach out to the relevant authorities as well, and you can consult with them. So the pro tip for this agenda is assess total cost over multiple years. So that is one of the biggest advantage of having a free zone license. Now let's say you opened a company, but you don't want to go through the headache of renewing it every single year, but you have a long-term vision. Most of the free zones, they provide you with multi-year licensing options. Even it's applicable for big free zones like DMCC as well. So they let you have your license for multi-years, so that you don't have to go through the process of renewing the license every year. But still, DMCCs and all, they would still require specific requirements such as attestation of share amount of the shareholders in the bank. So you have to ensure that you're complying with all of their audit requirements as well. And the second thing is verify license, visa, and banking eligibility upfront. So the previous agenda is what we're discussing. You have to verify if this license is actually suitable for me, and also prioritize operational flexibility. Is it affecting the government contracts that I'm planning to do, or does it affect dealing with customers who are in mainland for me? You have to understand all of these things and choose a license that support the growth of your company. And the last agenda will be choosing the wrong consultant. So if you if you type in consultants in Dubai for business setup, you can find more than 1,000 companies. But you have to check the credibility. So the simple tip in this scenario, what I can advise you is, you cannot simply call them, check with all 1,000 consultants. What you can do is, it's a very simple tip what most people do. You can just go through their website and go through reviews as well. You can see, there might be fake reviews, but also you can check the credibility as well. And you can also use the third party websites like Trustpilot and everything to check the credibility in the market as well. And once you, so let's say you're a person who understands how to run a company and all, and you're going to a consultant who is consulting you. So from that, if you have any kind of doubt, let's say in regards to the free zone, the business activities, the banks that you want, always do not ask this question for later stage. From day one till licensing process, visa issuance, bank account opening, corporate tax registration, VAT registration, you have to ask everything well in advance, because not all consultants will you consult from start to end unless you request for it. So, and also you have to understand, you're the one who's opening the company. Even though the consultant is like, he consulted you, right, but he missed out very few specific important informations. In that case, you cannot go back to the consultant, or the liabilities are falling on the consultant. It's always falling on you. So you have to understand that in advance and do accordingly. And also, I've mentioned it here, what to look out for, and the pro tip in terms of identifying the right consultant. So strategic advisory beyond registration. So most consultants in UAE market, which you see right now, they'll be very exaggerating, and they will give you like, we'll give you license in like 5 to 7 working days and everything. After that, we'll do corporate tax registration. But you have to actually see, once you get all of these things, are they going to help you on later stage as well? Or they will say, oh, I was busy with my other client, sorry, I couldn't respond to you. So you have to always look out for these consultants as well. And what you can do in that scenario is ask about post-setup compliance services, which I've mentioned earlier. You have any kind of doubts, let's say banking compliance, or let's say you're performing a high-risk activity, what are the approvals that you would require, or do I require any other additional services? For example, if you're a person who is into gold trading, then you definitely have to register for GoAML through the GoAML portal. So what are the requirements? Is there any cost associated with that? You have to ask well in advance with the consultant. And also the transparency on risk and limitations that your license can give. Don't just fall for the cost. Always look for the credibility of the, let's say, even you can find a credible free zone which gives you license for much cheaper cost. For example, like SPC free zone, Shams free zone. They will give you license for much cheaper price, but which is recognized by MOFA as well. So you have to understand this well in advance. And also banking, tax, and post-setup support. So when it comes to that, you have to understand, like I've mentioned to you before, you have to ask well in advance with the consultant, which is the right bank account for me for this specific activity in this specific free zone, and what are the tax obligations that I'm having. So if I'm expanding in future, can I expand my company within this free zone, and also can I make it under a qualifying free zone? You have to understand all in advance. And also, apart from this, always look at the agreement or the contract that the consultant is providing to you. You have to go through the contract very carefully. You have to read those terms and conditions, because license registration is not the end process. It's just the start of the process. So every year you have to renew the license. You have to do the corporate tax returns every 365 days, and every quarter basis you have to do VAT returns. So you have to check for all of these key factors within the contracts as well. Yeah. So in conclusion, like I've told you before, setting up company in UAE, the process is very simple, but what's underlying the free zone, the activities, the banks, because you can find more than 20 banks, you can find more than 1,000 consultants, you can find more than 50 free zones, and there are also mainland jurisdictions in UAE. But it's always, you have to try finding the right consultant. Let's say you're a person who wants to deal everything directly, in that case, always reach out to the correct regulatory body. Let's say you're dealing with Mainland. Most people will say, oh, opening a Mainland company is complicated. No, if you go to a government authorized center like Amar Center, they can also help you with those information. So that's all for now. So if you guys have any kind of questions or doubt, you can ask me right now. Okay, so which UAE jurisdiction is the best option for online business and no physical office space required? So starting with the very cheapest cost, the best option can be Ajman Media City Free Zone, which gives you e-commerce license for just 4,999 dirhams. Or let's say you want a much bigger free zone, which is recognized by MOFA. In that scenario, you can go with SPC and Shams, and the license cost is just 5,750 dirhams. And on top of that, most consultants, they can give you, you can say like complimentary bank account opening in Mashreq Bank or Vio Bank account as well. And to have a company in this free zone, no office space is required. If you just pay 357 dirhams, which is included in their package, you can get a virtual office, which will suffice for the bank account opening as well. So any of you guys have any other questions so that I can clear it for you? Okay, does all jurisdictions provide co-working spaces, example DSO? So in this scenario, it depends upon activities. For example, I can have my gold trading license in free zones like Mainland free zone, SPC free zone and all with just virtual flexi desk. For example, a client is performing this activity in Dubai Silicon Oasis. They cannot have a co-working space. So even bigger free zones like this, they will give you co-working spaces, but not the virtual one. You will have to take a business center or actual office space. But when it comes to gold trading, you need to have an office space with all the cameras set up on all corners, because you will also require SIRA approval as well. So the answer to you is yes, but it always depends upon the type of activity that you would choose. If I'm from outside UAE, can I register the business remotely? If yes, how long will it take? So for example, literally, no. So let's say you chose an activity for e-commerce. As long as you give the passport copy and you confirm the UBO structure, and let's say if you want bank account or not. So company registration can literally take only like 1 to 2 working days once you have all the documents in place. For example, free zones like SPC, Maidan and all, it's fully digital and hassle-free process. But if you want bank account, you have to be inside UAE, do the visa process and open the bank account. So if you want bank account, yes, you need to get visa from within the company, or let's say you want to use any third-party payment solutions like Payoneer, then it's completely fine. Even without entering UAE, you can already access the UAE market as well. So any other questions from anyone else? Examples for high-risk activities that face complication with bank account opening. Yes. So let's say you opened a company who will be holding companies in other jurisdictions or in other countries. So in this case, not all banks will be suitable for you. So you can face high-risk complication for this bank account opening process. And the other activities that I can include is gold trading, then the activities that are strictly falling under VARA authority. So let's say you're having an activity related to crypto. you can face issues in opening bank account for these activities. Okay. Okay. So that's all for now. Thank you everyone for attending my webinar session. Have a great day ahead.